Lucy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm doing great. This is exciting.
Well, welcome to the second day of the Education on Air conference. And Elizabeth and I are here to moderate and co-present this session. How many ways can you create a video with Chrome? Let me see. Let's start with a little bit of introductions here. I'm really excited to be co-presenting and moderating with Elizabeth. And Elizabeth has been a long-term colleague. She's the co-leader of Vermont Google Education Group with me. She's a Google certified trainer, and she has a reputation throughout Vermont and beyond as a person who has all kinds of knowledge about Google, especially using them for e-portfolios and for deeper learning opportunities. She has a really good understanding of digital literacies that people constantly go to her for expertise. And she's co-presented at Google Summits and conferences, including the BETS conference. She's an instructor at the Community College of Vermont, where she teaches media literacy, and also is the instructor for teaching online at the University of Vermont.
Well, thanks, Lucy. I'm also really excited to be co-presenting with you. Lucy has been a Google certified teacher for many years in one of the first cohorts there. She's a Google educator trainer. She's been an educational leader throughout Vermont for many years, supporting educators, administrators, and students. Her range of interests and expertise is not just limited to the Google tools, but she's really an innovator with the STEM and the maker movement. She's in the forefront of applying these in the classroom and helping educators see the possibilities. So, you know, I think I can't speak highly enough of Lucy's expertise. She runs the summer Google Tools for Schools Summer Institutes, Create, Make, Learn, and she also presents at many, and if you have the opportunity to see her at conferences or summits, don't pass up that opportunity. She's also an instructor faculty adjunct for Marlborough College Graduate School and the University of Vermont. So this will be fun. I look forward to it.
Great.
So I think, as Lucy mentioned, do we want to, if we're looking at the slide, here we are, yeah. So I think that the idea we mentioned about turning a Chromebook into a production studio, but if you look at all the tools as we're going to go through today, there's many of them that they can also be used on a Chrome browser in a PC or Mac, so it's not limited to Chromebooks. But I think that the idea that some people think the Chromebook is not a creative tool, we hope to dissuade them of that belief as we go through. Lucy and I are always, when we do workshops and professional development, that we can show you the tools, certainly, but without a reason or a purpose, we feel we need to actually identify that it's not about the tool, it's about how we use it and to enhance learning. But there's 3 things we can identify for using video on a Chromebook, and to me the one that stands out most, and I've done a lot of work with the idea of new literacies, and for Vermont Reads, there's a lot of work on what it means to be literate in a digital world. So if you think about that, and I think George Lucas brings the point home well when he talks that students aren't taught the language of sound and images, and shouldn't they be considered illiterate if they left college without being able to read or write? So if you think about our world today, just reading and writing it isn't enough. The second one to think about as you look at these tools is instruction. How is it going to enhance instruction? And then student empowerment. So the idea of instruction, if you think about flipped classroom, how can video enhance that through tutorials, screencasting, multimodality, to differentiate in your classroom. And again, print-based literacies are no longer the only medium, so being able to take video and make meaning of that as well. The communication with colleagues or parents or community, and then just the time-saving efficiency use of these tools. You'll see some applications for that as well. But the third one is student empowerment, and I think Lucy and I both feel that looking at video as a way to give students voice and choice for presenting information, no longer just writing an essay. How about presenting that essay in a creative and just exciting way that really engages students to create and communicate their ideas and thinking. So hopefully we'll look at, Lucy and I are going to go through a lot of tools and a lot of applications that you could use on Chrome or Chromebooks. And so it may feel like we're going through this quite fast, so we don't want you to feel you have to learn how to do all of these things. We hope to just pique your interest and come back and look at some of the links we have here. And if you have any other questions that you can't find the answers to on our presentation, contact one of us. Our information is in the document that's attached to this Hangout. And Lucy, do you want to just kick it off with looking at some of these tools?
Absolutely. So let's start off with what you need to get started. You need to capture media, and capturing media can be done in a variety of ways, and we all know that the best camera is the one that you have with you. And what camera do most students always have with you? Their mobile device. So a lot of the methods I'm going to be showing you today will be using a variety of tools, but your students could use their mobile device. They could also use their Chromebook webcam. More and more schools are bringing Chromebooks into the learning landscape, so students quite often have access to a Chromebook. No more running around looking for a camera. Does it have batteries? Does it not? How do I transfer the information over? Most devices today, including Chromebooks, have webcams, and there's been a couple models out there that have just come out that have the rotating camera, so I think people are starting to use these more as video production tools and have asked for that rotating camera so you can have more front-facing or back-facing camera when you are working on your videos. And one of the things that I've added to my toolkit lately is a Chrome-compatible external camera. I've added the Logitech C920 as a link here, and in the notes of this slideshow I have the instructions on how to get it working with your Chromebook, which is just a setting. And that allows you to do some really creative things like stop motion video and some creative angles when you're using your Chromebook. So any of these tools could be really useful. And remember, a video does not have to be long and overproduced. That quick win that you can get by capturing just the right video because you had a camera with you is a video project that is worth doing. And not only do you have the video that you're going to grab from these tools as a way to create your videos, you also have Google Drive and Google+. Don't forget that these two are a big part of the equation, because all of a sudden now we have unlimited storage and anywhere, anytime access to our video projects. If you hook up your mobile device so that it auto backups, then you have access anywhere, anytime to any footage that you've taken with your mobile device. And that's easily done with Google+. If you don't have Google+, and some of your students, especially those under 13, will not have it, then use your Google Drive and make sure the Google Drive app is accessible to you so that you can quickly upload your video footage to your Google Drive. I remember the days when we were doing video projects and we'd fill up a hard drive and not notice it and crash the hard drive on a laptop with video projects. With unlimited storage, that's not a problem anymore. I also remember doing video projects with students where the media was on one computer, you try to move over to another computer because the computer lab was not available, and you grab some of it and not all of it, or you produce and then end up having these big X's on your project because the information wasn't linked the right way. Not a problem anymore. It's all there when you're doing videos with Chrome. But the thing that I really am excited about is the fact that when you get students in the flow, when they're doing video projects, they can continue to work on those outside your classroom. They don't have to stop when the bell rings. They can go home and add to it, and flipped learning no longer has to mean that a student is watching a teacher produce videos. Flipped learning can now mean that students are sharing their knowledge and understanding by producing their own videos. So I'm really excited about the potential of moving video to the cloud. Now, don't limit it to videos that your students take, because there are some situations where you're actually not going to want them to be taking the videos. You don't want them to be creating a fire in your classroom in order to capture flames burning. But you can go down to most of the public domain collections and find a video of fire. If you haven't tried it yet, check out archive.org. Lots of great videos, stock footage that's either public domain or Creative Commons, and you can download those and add them to your video projects. The other thing is to teach students about Creative Commons and how to find Creative Commons images and sounds and video. The best place to learn that and to find them is to go directly to search.creativecommons.org and then search for video or pictures and add them to your video projects or have students add them. And if you're working with YouTube, in a couple of minutes I'll show you that YouTube has its own built-in Creative Commons search engine in the YouTube editor. I'll show you that in a little while. Speaking of YouTube,
that's a perfect transition, Lucy. So YouTube, I love YouTube. I think it's it's an amazing, not only place to curate and find video, but a place to create and host your own. So, but there's some limitations to YouTube in the younger grades. The age is 13 and over. But as a teacher, even for early grades, you can have a YouTube channel yourself and post your students' videos there and organize them as well. But the editor, I think, people don't understand. YouTube has editors in it. So if you see this little diagram on the left, there's a lot of options for creating videos. So I'm just going to take a quick tour through it, and let's see if my screen share can get us there. So I'm going to grab the screen share and just show you. It's a lot easier to show than tell. So I'm in my YouTube account, and you can see I'm logged in. And if you click on Upload, this is the quickest way to get there. Usually there's lots of ways to get to places in YouTube, but this is the quickest. And as you see here on the right, you can import from your Google Plus account, but also create videos. And you can create them with just simply webcam capture. I click on that, and I'm going to record. A student could just record themselves talking about an event, or even speaking if it's a foreign language class, have them just record a YouTube and speak in Spanish or French and then send it as an assignment. So the photo slideshow is another quick one. I'm going to click through that right now. But before I do, also Google Hangouts and the editor. But let's click on the photo slideshow. So say you have a class trip and you have a collection of photos. They would be in your Google Plus photo album, or you could upload them. And you select an album. Again, like any video, you have your content ahead of time. So I'm just going to pick some slides that I pulled in earlier. Find a photo. Let's see. Well, this is going to be. I don't want it to take forever, so I'm just going to click one with just 2 photos in it. You hit select. And because we're streaming here, and then you can add more, or you just go next. Say those are the photos you want, and again, it gives free audio tracks. So there's thousands of them, and you can pick by your genre or whatever type of music you want to find. You select it, and it sets it for the tone. And here you can have some duration. Let me turn that down. Hold on, I'll pause it. See if that fits. Again, your transitions, and then you simply upload it, and there it is in YouTube. You can make it public or just unlisted, and then hit done. What a nice thing to do too, if you have a student photographer for the week take photographs, you can create a class photo slideshow for the week, post it to your website or Google Classroom, and parents can watch that, what's been happening over the week. While I'm in the editor, let me go back to upload. If it'll get me there. Lucy talked about the Creative Commons, and that's available in the editor. So if you click at the editor, it gives you a little more features than a simple slideshow. And I won't spend too much time on it, but I'm just going to show you the ideas. You create a project. Here it pulls up some videos that you've already produced that are in your own video channel. You can bring those in. You have one track here for the video, another track for music. You could bring in stills. And again, here's the audio tracks that are available to you for copyright free, and you can put into your video. There's new transitions and then text as well. So that's really the basic, and then you publish it and it goes right to your YouTube account, and you can share it with others in the world. So that's just a quick look at the YouTube editor and the possibilities there. Here on the slide is a little longer demonstration of using the editor if you want to follow through that as well. So maybe now's a good time. Lucy can talk about that, the Creative Commons. So if you are using the editor, how might you use that?
So before we do that, Elizabeth, we do have a question from the Q&A, and that's, how do you address privacy and proprietary of video content to students when a great driver for most content is the appeal of going viral? So kids want to go viral, but you are concerned about privacy.
Whoop. I just lost your sound, Lucy.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Oh, there we are.
Now?
Yeah, I can. That's okay. How do you address? No, I'm reading it actually. A great drive most kind of appeal to go viral. I think the idea of it depends on what's going viral. I don't think it's that bad. There's Doug Belshaw has done a lot of work again on literacies and the idea of memes and why things go viral and how it's communicated, and you could use that for good. You might create a meme or something viral that really talks about important issues, but I think the idea of private, so it depends on what it is. If it's not appropriate, and that's a digital literacy important thing of citizenship, and it gets to the bigger issue of anything on that we're creating in media. So I'm not sure how well that answers your question, but I think that's a educational issue that needs to be addressed before we use any of these tools. Did you have anything else to add, Lucy, about that?
I just, again, trying to create a culture of respect. There probably have been incidences where somebody has put in something that shouldn't have happened online. I had an incident in a middle school, and it was a great conversation. The kids immediately started to talk about, have a conversation with their teacher, and they learned with our guidance, and they were immediately taking down the video, and then another kid suggested, well, why don't we just shut that video channel off, not just take it down, and we kind of addressed it, and I think they got a chance to learn it with some guidance in middle school as opposed to at work where they might lose their job over something. So, yeah. But as you mentioned, I'm going to talk about remixing videos where a good quality video might go viral. That wasn't necessarily the intent. But what better reward for a student when something of quality goes viral? Let me change this here. A few years ago, Vermont had a group of students from Montpelier High School do a video called 802. It's our area code, and it's the only area code in Vermont, and it was a parody. The New York Times picked it up. It was just a really great, acknowledgement of those students' work that they did, and so I think that's important too. Another quick thing is I've had students ask, is my video of quality enough to put on our YouTube channel? So this is not their own YouTube channel, but they'll say, we need to have it of a certain quality. So they'll aspire for higher quality so that theirs can get added to the YouTube channel. There is one more question that just came in that we probably should take from Steve. Is there a way to screen comments, such as taboo comments, when using this system? And
well, you can turn comments off if you want. And I don't know if there's monitoring of comments. I know when I post videos, sometimes I don't want comments, and I just turn it off in my settings for my video. So I don't know if you can monitor them. You can, if you don't want comments, just check it off. So that, that's the other thing. It's most content is the appeal. Okay, yeah. So I'm not really taboo comment. I mean, we could go and check and see if we could delete comments, but I think it's either on or off. Did you know it, Lucy?
I don't know, but I do agree that really important when you're working with kids, especially younger kids, is to have comments off or have them moderated, because we definitely want this to be a positive experience for our students.
Yeah. There's another question there with YouTube, so maybe we should address that. Do you see that one, Lucy?
Some schools don't want students. I'll read the question in case people are want to hear it. And some schools don't want students using YouTube during school. Would this change depending on the fact of what the creation is for? Well, I think let's keep moving forward, because we have other options that if your school doesn't... Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to address it. I think, there's a link on this slide about curriculum and understanding YouTube and digital citizenship. So I think it's a good question. I think the idea that students hopefully are creating, now that question disappeared. Oh, okay. Was changed depending on the fact. I think it changes in a lot of schools that understand the power of this tool, and students having their own video channel where they can archive their learning, artifacts of their learning. And if you're using it for things that they're passionate about, if they're making videos of themselves teaching the guitar, or making video games, or with meaningful purpose, that it's not just for entertainment and meaningless activities. Many students are creating YouTube on their own, which are amazing learning artifacts. So I think it depends. Again, it's a cultural shift in how we use this, and the idea of digital citizenship. But again, the age appropriateness is important. As Lucy said, there are other options for younger students. But I think if you could create a culture for 13 and older, in later middle school and high school, this tool could be a really powerful tool if done with the right guidance. And I think you're missing it if you just say no. And I think that if you can create that culture of learning and empower students, then you're going to have an amazing opportunity here.
Great, Elizabeth, thank you very much. And why don't we move on so that people see the options for younger students also, which I think are coming up in a couple of slides. So Elizabeth mentioned that there was an option for Creative Commons, and I just want to point out that in the editor, the second one with the two Creative Commons Cs will bring up a search engine right inside YouTube Editor, and if you want some video of fire, you might be able to find it right in there. There might be some Creative Commons videos. There are about 10,000 Creative Commons videos already on YouTube. Some of them are of political nature. Some of them are people's projects that they're willing to share and add a Creative Commons license to. So I actually have a link on this slideshow right now if you want to go to it. It is a video on how to remix a Creative Commons, create a video by remixing Creative Commons video. And If you're going to do that, why not make that video Creative Commons? On the left-hand side, I've got two little red arrows where you do that. Under Advanced Settings, you change the standard license to Creative Commons attribution, and the video is automatically attributed, so you don't lose ownership. The people who use that, your video gets attributed as part of how that video was created. So not only should you encourage students to look for Creative Commons, you should help them understand how to make meaning by remixing. There's a whole culture of remixing. And in the slide notes of this particular slide, I've got 2 or 3 great blog posts written by people such as Henry Jenkins, who offer some really powerful ways to use remixing for instruction. And what better way to do that than just going right in here and using that Creative Commons feature. Another quick win for creating videos is working together on a video. Your students may not have a YouTube channel, but you could set one up for your classroom. And if your students have emails, they can take their mobile device and email it directly to a special email address, not to you, but that's in your YouTube settings. And when they do that, that video automatically appears in your video manager. So let's say that you had 10 students that were on a field trip, a science lab, and each of them was asked to take 30 seconds of data collection. If they're doing that with their mobile device, you give them that special email address to the YouTube channel that you may have set up called Science Projects, and all of a sudden in the video manager that you as the instructor own, all those data analysis are there. That could be formative assessment, or they could be combined using the video editor into a class compilation of that science project. I put a video and a whole blog post on how to do that for those of you who might be interested in using this method. Recently, Elizabeth was having a birthday, and 4 of us from different parts of the state created a really quick video. Each of us took our device, sang 1 line of the happy birthday song, and I gave them the special email address that was in my YouTube channel. All appeared into my video manager, put them together, and delivered her a compilation happy birthday card. That was a fun project, but you can also do that for school projects also.
It was great.
You can see both of those there later on. So moving away from YouTube, if YouTube is not an option because your students are under 13, or if you want a different type of option available too, WeVideo is a great tool, and Elizabeth is going to share with you some of the latest features that WeVideo has just added.
I love WeVideo, and I use a Chromebook myself as my primary tool. And WeVideo, I use it in my online class as well at community college. But I used it with middle school students 4 years ago when it first came out, and it has evolved immensely in the last 4 years to be a really robust editor that has both the free and the educational versions. And I've used both, but if your school has any, I would really highly emphasize getting the EDU version because of what it supports. There are some links on the slide here that hopefully you'll peruse, but their support center is amazing. So there's any questions you have, you just look it up. But let me just quickly, I'll just go through what it looks like and highlight some of the things I would love to really highlight and point out. So let me share my screen once again. Let's see how that works. So again, you just simply log in. In your Google Apps domain account, you can actually have the administrator push the app to students, so it shows up in their. Oh, I have to log in. So it will automatically show up in their Chrome apps. They just simply click on it. Let me. Sorry if it's going to take so long. I was logged in, and of course I logged out. But here it comes to your dashboard, and now because I'm using the premium educational version, I'm an administrator. So that's one of the nice features in the paid version. But you simply have a home, you have your projects, and again, thinking about organization. Before you start even thinking about this, always think about, well, how are you going to organize things? So I create projects based on topics, and within projects you can have multiple videos, so just knowing that ahead of time helps. And so within your video you have you can create projects, and then I'm going to edit one that I've started, so then the editor opens up. And the editor is with the premium and the free, there's not many differences. The premium one, though, does have green screen. Let's see if it may be slow with my bandwidth right now. Let's see if it'll open. It has the green screen, which is really nice. Maybe it's not working right now. Let's see. A new feature now too is it has screencasting built into the recording. I'm not sure why it's not opening. Let's see. Well, I might have to boot and not share my screen if it's not going to start. Let's see if it kicks in again. I'll refresh. But so again, the green screen, it has Ken Burns effect. It has a different library too. The paid version gives you more. Here we go. License music, where there's a limited with the free version. Space and time is also the difference between the free and the paid version. But you can use either. In your classroom. Okay, here's an editor. So this is a project that I've been working on, and the basic tools here at the top are you can create a new, but what I like to now is that it has revisions. You can see, just like in Google Docs, you can go back and look at earlier revisions that you've worked on, and it shows who's made those revisions. The other thing is themes. So in my classes, though, I don't allow them to use the theme. So we have to use no theme, because I think it's important to understand the elements of storytelling and how those transitions, the sound, everything are choices you make that make the story. But if you need a quick one, the themes are kind of nice. And then publish. And then here you have your media where it's posted. Here you have some backgrounds. Again, the music, the free music that's in, and also special effects, transitions, and text. Going back to this. And then here on the bottom, you have multiple tracks. You can add more tracks if you need them, which is what I like. The difference between this and YouTube is simple one track and one music. Here you have multiple tracks with recording your audio, bringing in music. What I also like here is that you could show levels, so you can actually quickly just lower the volume while you're talking, and the music comes in. So that's a simple, nice little tip that I like. Lucy and I, because we're in the same network, WeVideo network group, I've shared this with her, and we can make comments. So as a teacher and your students, if you're in that the group, you can make comments on a specific clip. So this was one, maybe we should shorten this clip, and I think Lucy made these comments. They're in different colors. So again, going back and forth, so you can get into very fine detail of the editing process. And then when we go to publish, there's many options which can be turned off or on by the administrator. So if you didn't want students publishing it to YouTube, that would be off, or you could only maybe just you want them to connect it to Drive. There is the WeVideo gallery that you have as well. So I'm not going to too much into it, but so there's some really nice options for publishing, and that goes as well for importing media. As well, if you wanted to limit where they can import the media from, that's done in the editor. And then the administrative panel, which is nice. As administrator, well, I don't want to show the users. Let me go back. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. As the administrator, you can manage your users. You can adjust settings as to who's, who can share with what, that sort of thing, who can publish it. Maybe you want to, before it goes to the gallery, you want to monitor it, you can do that sort of thing. So this is the nicest piece of using the educational version of that tool. So I'm going to unshare, but as you can see, there's a lot in there, and look through these links to get a better handle as to what the possibilities are. Their WeVideo Academy has some nice tutorials that show the different features that you might be interested in.
And I love the new features with the screencasting and the commenting. They're working really hard at creating something that's really high quality, that gives a lot of functionality to teachers. I played with a green screen the other day, and I'm going to show you some stop motion tools that ended up working with WeVideo. And so lots of great new features there. When I think about the price of WeVideo Premium in education, I think about the price that that our kids pay for sitting in standardized tests for days on end, and we spend a lot of money, I know, in schools, giving them all kinds of motivation and doing pep rallies around them. I think that small price is less than the price of a good 3-ring binder or a poster board for science, and you get to use it all year.
Right.
I know my 10-year-old grandson was here, and I was doing a WeVideo project, and he has a one-to-one at his school, and they've never done this type of video, and I showed him maybe 10 minutes before he left. The next day, he was making all kinds of videos at home and sharing them with me. So empowering students with those tools is going to extend the classroom learning time. It's going to extend the learning time beyond your classroom time. And I know time's always an issue. How do we get kids to learn more? This is one of the ways. I think I also might address one of the questions that Rose put in the Q&A, and that is that she is saying that a lot of teachers love the fact of using YouTube, but some students may not want to put themselves out there, and especially if they feel like they have some self-esteem issues or may not be liked, and could this lead to some cyberbullying issues? And I think that WeVideo is an option that allows you to control more of the comments and really create that culture inside your school if your students are younger and they can't use YouTube, or if they're above 13 and you feel they're not quite ready to be in a more public environment.
Right. Again, the idea that WeVideo integrates with Google Drive, you could save to Drive and share a folder. You could have all your student videos in a Google Drive folder and just share it with limited access. So it's not in the YouTube environment. There's ways. But again, that always gets back to, when I hit cyberbullying, it's not about the tool, or it's not a reason not to use these tools. I think that's an issue we have to address everywhere, and just saying no, I don't think is the response, but it's finding safe ways to do it.
Right. Well, I think that hopefully helped Rose with some of the questions she just put in the Q&A.
Yeah.
So next we have, I think, Elizabeth, you're going to show us a couple other tools.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these are screencasting tools. So if you think about, most people think of flipped classroom and using it for that, but there's so many possibilities for screencasting. There's a little video here with my dog Finn on it, but a student emailed me the other day because I teach online, and they couldn't figure out how to get a URL from Google Drive, a photo in Google Drive, and make it, because they were making a Google map and they wanted the photo to show up there, and it just didn't work. So instead of writing out a long email message of how to do it, a 1-minute screencast showed them how to do it. So there's a lot of applications for screencasting, whether it's having your students, who are using maybe the GeoGebra app, could be screencasting themselves, using that tool to show their meaning of circumference or something. So there's lots of applications. But there's 3 of them that I use a lot. And the reason I use 3 is because they all have different subtle differences. So Snagit and Screencastify are 2 Chrome web apps that you can find in the Chrome Web Store. Those two I use a lot. And then Hangouts on Air, which we're using right now, and I'm sharing my screen, is one that I use for my online class because it has a lot of times I can have my face present more than maybe the Screencastify, which it could have your face in the corner. Snagit doesn't have your face, but Snagit has, you can capture just little pictures quickly. So if maybe I'll just show one real quickly, the Screencastify and how that might work.
And I just wanted to kind of keep us on time too, Elizabeth. We were at about 10 minutes left.
All right, I won't then. I'll just look at the example that I did with Finn the dog here, because that was used with Screencastify, where I didn't have my little picture in the corner. You can either have it or not. But I have students actually use Screencastify to show Google presentations and talk about it. So it's another way to show a presentation with voice and using Google presentation with audio. So we'll continue then. But take a look at those tools. I think they're pretty amazing and they work well on the Chromebook.
And another piece you mentioned before is now that WeVideo has screen capturing also as part of it. That makes a fourth tool if you've got that environment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So along with the Screencastify and the Snagit for creating videos, one tool that a lot of schools have been using lately is MoveNote. It's just taken off in popularity in a lot of the schools that I work with, especially the younger students. And in MoveNote, what happens is you end up loading your slides, and you load your slides or other Google tools, and you can add your voice in Let me try that again. You can add your voice and narrate it, and then save it as a video. One of the things that I've been asked a lot is, can you download the video? And it took me a little while to find that, so I just put a screenshot on here. It's under Archives. When you go to Archive and you right-click on your video collection, there is a place that says Download as Video. And then you can take that video and you can mix it with other videos in YouTube Editor or WeVideo if you'd like. But you don't need to download it. You can just embed it or provide a link to it. This does, let's look at the next screen also. A new feature that MoveNote just added was turn off the video. Some people don't want to see themselves in the video, and they just added the feature where you can just have the slides and your sound. I'm constantly being asked, how do I add sound to my slides? This is one way, and it produces a video where you're narrating or your students are narrating. We've got some examples on the previous slide where a 7th and 8th grade class did this fantastic MoveNote where every student that was coming into their school, their junior high, was able to created a MoveNote video welcoming an individual student coming in with a kind of personal welcome and telling them a little bit about themselves. And how much more powerful was that than just getting that welcome letter from the school or the superintendent or the principal to be welcomed by an individual student in a very personal way. I've got some links to that I have in the notes of this slide.
I might emphasize too, I mean, one of the common core things is speaking and listening, and so often we don't have time for having students present in the classroom, each one of them, all of them, and this is a nice way to have everybody be able to practice and really refine their speaking skills and see themselves and then edit it again. So I think this is a great tool for that.
Absolutely. The screencasting and the MoveNote are terrific for that. It's not all about the product. Sometimes it's about capturing them thinking out loud, capturing visually for other students a model explaining something, and there are a couple of great whiteboard style video apps in Chrome. Just going to talk about two of them briefly. One of them is called PixieClip, And I think that makes a really good formative assessment video. What it does is create a whiteboard, and you make a quick movie of yourself drawing on the screen. Several people have been able to do that with mobile devices, but using PixieClip, you can now do it right on your screen. There are Chromebooks out there that are touch Chromebooks where you can draw on the screen. But even if you can't, a mouse is very helpful. What's good about PixieClip is that there's no login necessary to get a quick win. So Larry Ferlarzo's ELL student example here shows students practicing their language skills by drawing, not just talking. Many of us think with our hands, and so by doodling and drawing, these students are connecting the image in their words and practicing and providing a link to their teacher. One disadvantage is it does not have a downloadability, so you can't download the video, but you do have a private link, actually a public link, that you send to your teacher. And if you want to have a private link, you do need to create an account. But quick win, no login necessary. If you want a little bit more, actually, let me just show you real quickly. That's the screen for PixieClip. You can add audio and video. You can turn off the video while you're doodling and just have the audio, or you can have both. And you have a few tools on the side that let you add text and do all kinds of things, different colors, but not real elaborate, because that's not what it's meant to do. The same thing, whoops, I forgot to, I have some links here which I won't play because of time, but it's a flipped math science lesson done by Mr. Prince in his 6th grade class, and then some examples from a 4th grade student in Mrs. McRae's class where the students are explaining their thinking. So you can click on those after the Hangout today. One that's much more popular and is Educreations in schools, because they have a whole classroom environment and a lesson environment where you can set up a classroom, you can invite students, and your students can capture their thoughts through video using this Whiteboard app. It is available on mobile devices, but the website also allows you to use it on a Chromebook or any Chrome-enabled device. So you can record, quickly draw, and send it to your teacher. What I really like about it is that it has limited options because it's not meant for video creation. It's not distracting. You just quickly do it and show your thinking. There are classroom features. There are public and private options. And there are also pro version benefits if you want to have it work with Google Drive or save your work in progress and use some of the other features. You may want to look at the pro version. But the free version has a lot to offer. I put a couple examples here of teachers using it for formative assessment, students from student videos, and flipped lessons that teachers have created. One of the things that I did not realize was that there was not an easy way to get to all the pre-made lessons, and there's no link on their website. So adding the word browse after educreation.com will allow you to scroll through all the lessons that teachers have done on different topics.
Nice.
Animation style videos. Students love doing animation style videos. And there are a lot of tools that you can use with those, but the one tool you want to start with is Google Slides. Just recently, Google Slides has added some new features that allow you to animate different objects in more extensive ways. I put a link to a nice blog post where thetechin.info features how he uses these new tools to create animations and interactive slideshows. There's a famous one out there, if you have not seen it, the 350 slide, actually I think it's 450 slide animation that was created by at the Google Demo Slam. Very cool. And it took them 3 days to work on this. You probably don't have 3 days in your classroom, but using the animation features of Google Slides can turn Google Slides into a video production tool. Kids love this. We were talking about cameras before. My students love doing stop motion animation. Students as young as kindergarten can do stop motion animation, but one of the things you need is onion skin. And I found a very simple Google app called Stop Motion Animator. All it does is take pictures, but takes the pictures so that you can see the picture before you as you're and line up your object when you're doing stop motion animation so that you have the right type of movement in between objects. And let's say that you want to do 10 frames of the same picture, and then you may want to move it a little bit and do 10 more frames. This would be a pain to do if you had to capture each one of those and import them. With this stop motion animator app, you can just capture them all and then change the speed, slow or fast, just for that clip, and then you save that video, and then you would bring that into WeVideo or YouTube editor, and then you assemble it with other clips or maybe add sound to it. I did this the other day with green screen. I just put a green background. I was using actually a green whiteboard, little mini whiteboard that I got at the dollar store, and was making some stop animation. Brought it into WeVideo, turned on the green screen chroma key feature, and quickly had moving video in the back with my stop animation. So this is a really cool, easy win. Easy to get started with. When you would use stopgap animation, a lot of people can find lots of creative uses in art classes, but don't stop there. As Jason Oler says, new medias create new literacies, as well as new illiteracies, as Elizabeth mentioned before. So there's great resources from Jason Oler on stopgap animation at this website, on his website under Storytelling Beyond Words, that you can take a look at, including this video, kids using video stop motion in a math class. You'll love it. I put a couple other ones for physics class and science classes. Stopgap animation work great with math and science classes especially. So we added a few examples for you to take a look at. If you want a little bit more for an animation tool, I had a teacher wanted to do some cell animation for a science class who ended up using this tool. It's a Chrome-friendly website. It includes the onion skin feature, and it saves it as an animated GIF. And once you've got an animated GIF, you can add it to a website. You can add it to your Google Slides. You can add it to Doc, and your students could be making some science accurate next generation science standard models using stopgap animation. So here's one more tool. If you've never worked with stopgap animation, you might want to check out this really cool stop motion animation tutorial, which is also an example done in stop motion that explains what stop motion is and how to get started. Another great place to look for tutorials is Animation Chef website. Some young men in a school in Connecticut that I met that are doing amazing things and have their own YouTube channel on doing stopgap animation. And last, if you're going to animate, many schools are using Go Animate and Powtoons, and I was really pleased to see that both of these have EDU versions and both of these work on Chromebooks. This is more of a cartoon templates where a lot of the resources are put at your disposal and you drag and drop and add your features to it, so it's less about the process of animation, so it's a lot faster. But teachers are using these tools as fun ways to deliver flipped instruction, and also letting students use these tools as fun ways to show what they know. I know that we were asked to leave some time for questions, but I'm going to have Elizabeth talk a little bit about the examples that we have, and then I'll check the Q&A to see if there are some questions.
There's such a range, an amount of examples for any of these using video for learning and instruction and empowering students. But I highlighted a few, and one is the Next Vista for Learning website, because it has videos and examples from teachers and students. And again, many of the early ones are about digital storytelling, but there's others as well. There's a student video here, all in for water quality. It's again the Renaissance students at the St. Albans School. is another example. There's a link here, Persuasive Power, which is it's from a website a colleague of mine and I use in our new literacies workshops. And here's the video here on the right is one that we use from that unit where a student, a seventh grade student actually, this was a project all the students could choose their passion, what they were really piqued their interest for a public service announcement, and this is hers, which was, you'll see it's very different. It's them actually, her actually talking. Let me see if I can play it. Well, talking right into the camera using the webcam mixed with text, and so it was pretty powerful. And we'll add a few more examples as far as instructional examples. And again, email us if you have any specific questions or would like to look at some specific examples. And
there
let's
is,
see. Go
there
ahead, Lucy.
is a couple questions that have popped up, and because we have 4 minutes left, I'm not sure we'll get to them all. Rose was having some trouble with PowerTunes. Rose, if you email me at the contact information on the next or last slide, maybe we can find out specifically what gave you problems, and if we can help you with those. I'm looking to see if anything else came up that we might be able to address.
It was one about bandwidth. I think it was. It said, sorry. I've heard my teachers saying we can't do to certain things due to bandwidth of the internet. Does it really affect Google and the school? Lucy, do you want to address that one? I think you and Craig. I know Craig could really answer that clearly for us, but maybe you have a better insight on that.
Well, bandwidth. The question was, teachers are saying that they can't do certain things because of bandwidth. It is absolutely an issue. I now go into a lot of schools and I see vast differences in how well those schools are prepared for bandwidth. There's a whole movement now called Future Ready. If you Google Future Ready, superintendents are getting on board and they're realizing that they need to prepare their schools to make them future ready. I wouldn't call this future ready. I'd call it now ready. That is where a lot of places are investing in bandwidth. Some schools I've seen take the money that they were investing in monitoring software and software that shapes what students can or can't do, how much allocations of the bandwidth they allow, and they took that money and instead moved it over to increasing bandwidth. So yes, it is definitely an issue. You'll want to test it ahead of time. There's nothing more challenging and discouraging than having 30 students in a classroom pop up a tool and have the lesson not work because of bandwidth. Advocacy, if you need some help advocating for increased bandwidth, definitely go take a look at the Future Ready websites and the movement there. You want to add anything to that, Craig? No. Let's see. Some tools are less bandwidth intensive than others, so you may want to definitely check test them in small increments first. Maybe you don't have to have 30 students in your classroom doing video at once. Maybe you have different roles and your infrastructure can handle 4 stations, and those are the 4 that are video production stations. Did you want to add anything?
Well, I was going to say that was when I worked in the middle school as a tech integration specialist, and we began using WeVideo on the netbooks. That was an issue, and what we would do would be contact the IT and email the principal, because it was the teachers realized this was an important skill that their students needed to do, and it was almost like it really wasn't a tech issue. It became a learning issue. And the more we would advocate for ourselves, the more important that emphasized to administration. And a change was made. They actually got in a lot, improved greatly. So I think if you really make the connection that it's not just technology, it's an essential learning tool. that needs to be available to students. And I see a huge inequity in schools here in Vermont, and I'm sure it's elsewhere, that some schools have really fast internet, their students have devices, and they're really flying along in the digital learning, in a digital world. They're being prepared for the world they live in. And other schools are still behind the times, where they'll have a few computers, their internet is slow, so they say they can't use it. Well, to me, that's an equity issue, and those issues need to be addressed.
And that takes us to the end of our time, and there's the contact information. If you go to the Edu On Air website, there is a document there with that contact information and a link to this slideshow. And the slideshow is filled with resources and examples and actually how-to tutorials on how to do some of these. Feel free to contact us. I had a great time preparing for this, and hopefully these resources will get more video production happening in our classrooms.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye. Thanks, Lucy.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Bye.
Thanks for helping moderate.
Thank you, Craig.